My dad married a woman my age and then took her side. I was 26 when my dad brought his new wife home. She was 27. Everyone pretended that wasn't insane. They called her young at heart. They said age was just a number. They said my discomfort was jealousy. But nothing about it felt normal. She dressed like me, laughed like me, even ordered the same drinks I did at dinner, like it was a joke we were both supposed to laugh at. The first time she corrected me in front of my dad, I froze. She did it gently, sweetly, like an equal, like someone who had authority. My dad didn't react, which told me he'd already accepted it. She started calling the house our home, started redecorating shared spaces, moved my childhood photos into a hallway corner, and replaced them with wedding pictures I wasn't even invited to. Whenever I pushed back, she smiled and said I was projecting. That word became her favorite. If I disagreed, I was immature. If I got emotional, I was unstable. If I stayed quiet, I was sulking. She spoke my language better than I did. Friends stopped visiting when she was around. She'd casually bring up stories about me that weren't lies, just edited, failures highlighted, context removed. My dad started repeating her phrases, using her tone, defending her reactions before I even finished speaking. The breaking point came at dinner. She reached across the table and took my dad's hand while looking straight at me. Then she laughed and said something that made the room go quiet. She said it must be confusing for me to see someone my age finally handling him better. My dad squeezed her hand. That's when I realized this wasn't about love or attraction or loneliness. My dad didn't marry her despite my age. He married her because she was my age. And tonight, I just found a text on his phone from her, talking about me like I'm the ex she replaced. After I saw the text, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't confront anyone right away. That surprised me more than anything. The message wasn't graphic. It wasn't flirty. It was worse. It was strategic. She was asking him how to handle me, talking about boundaries, suggesting timelines, discussing when it would be healthiest for me to transition out of the house. Like I was a phase, like I was temporary. And my dad replied. He agreed. That was the moment something in me shut off. I stopped trying to be understood after that, stopped defending myself, stopped explaining context. I watched instead. I watched how she slowly rewrote our family history, how stories changed depending on who was listening, how my dad deferred to her on things he used to decide himself. She framed everything as concern, concern for his peace, concern for my growth, concern for the future. And it worked. When she spoke, people listened. When I spoke, people waited for her reaction first. She never yelled, never insulted me directly. She just positioned herself as reasonable and let me look emotional by comparison. The day she suggested I start paying rent was the day I realized the end was already planned. Not because of the money, but because she presented it like generosity. She said it would help me learn independence, that it would make our relationship more adult. My dad nodded, the same man who never charged me rent before, the same man who once said I'd always have a place with him. I asked him privately later if he actually wanted me gone. He didn't answer directly. He talked about timing, about space, about how change is hard for everyone. He sounded like her. That night, I stopped sleeping in the house. I stayed with friends, came back only when I had to. Each time, something else was gone. A box moved, a shelf cleared, my presence slowly erased. She didn't rush it. She didn't need to. She had time, and she had him. The final straw wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. I overheard her on the phone one afternoon while I was upstairs. She was laughing. She said it was strange being married to a man with a daughter her age, but that it worked because there was only room for one woman at a time. She said it lightly, casually, like it was obvious. That night, I packed everything. Not just clothes, not just essentials. Everything that proved I existed there. Photos, documents, old letters, things my mom had given me before she died. I didn't leave a note. I wanted to see what happened when I disappeared without explanation. 3 days passed before my dad called. Not frantic, not worried, confused. He asked where I was staying, if I was okay, if I planned on coming back. I told him I moved out. There was a pause, then relief. He didn't say it out loud, but I heard it anyway. He asked if we could talk. Just us. We met for coffee. No stepmother, no mediator, just him. I told him everything, not emotionally, not angrily, factually. I told him how she undermined me, how she reframed my behavior, how she spoke about me like competition. instead of family. I asked him one simple question: if I were his daughter, or if I was something he needed to manage now that he had a new wife. He didn't answer right away. Then he said something honest. He said he was tired. He said being with her felt easier, that she didn't challenge him, that she made him feel chosen again. And that hit harder than any insult ever could, because it meant I wasn't losing my father to manipulation. I was losing him to preference. He chose someone who made him feel young, who didn't remind him of his past, who didn't reflect his failures. I reminded him of time passing, of responsibilities, of who he used to be. She didn't. So I told him the truth too. I told him I wasn't going to compete. I told him I wasn't going to beg. I told him I wasn't going to pretend this was normal just to keep access to him. I said if he wanted a relationship with me, it would have to exist without her influence. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. That was answer enough. I left the cafe and didn't look back. Months passed. I built a life without them. A quiet one at first, then a strong one. I stopped explaining my family to people, stopped minimizing what happened, stopped blaming myself for not being adaptable enough. I learned something important during that time. Being replaced doesn't mean you were insufficient. It means someone else was more convenient. The last time I saw them was at a family event I almost didn't attend. She avoided me, didn't make eye contact, didn't smile. I realized then that she never wanted me gone out of hatred. She wanted me gone because my existence disrupted her narrative. I was proof that she wasn't the beginning of his story. My dad looked older, quieter. He hugged me awkwardly. She didn't. I left early. I don't hate her. I don't even blame her anymore. She played a role she wanted to win. What broke me wasn't that my dad married a woman my age. It was realizing he was willing to lose his daughter to keep her. And the moment I accepted that, I stopped feeling like I'd been replaced. I felt free.